Welcome back, guys. So this is episode 10 of season 1. This is going to be the last episode. I kind of just wanted to come on here and basically do a little recap of how the grow went, and I also want to touch base on kind of things that I feel like I should have done differently. And also, if you guys wait till the end, I'm going to give some tips for new growers. So let's get right into it. So how did it go? For the most part, the grow went without much issues. And if you guys remember back in episode 2, I believe it was, I had thought I was planting all autoflowers. And then I come to realize that all 3 of the seeds that I had planted were in fact photoperids. Now that was one big mistake of mine. I actually caught it when I was clipping the videos together. Luckily, knowing that, I caught that issue. If not, I would have thought they were autoflowers. I would have kept them on an 18-6 light schedule, and that basically would have caused major issues. Now later on during the flowering stage, the tent was actually reaching high temperatures. It was around April or May when they started to flower, and because of that, in my zone, which is zone 9B, the temps were already hot at that point. For my tent to be in an uninsulated garage, obviously the garage is going to get hot and in turn heat up the tent. We also did have to battle a minor gnat issue. I wouldn't call it major, but there was quite a few gnats when I put those sticky traps. I did come to find out there was more than I expected. So now thinking back, what would I have done differently? So first and foremost, knowing what seeds I was planting. As I said before, thinking I'm going to do an autoflower run, come to find out it was a photo run. Definitely want to make sure what seeds I am planting before I plant them. I think I was just a little too eager about the run and wanting to get started that it didn't dawn on me until I was clipping the episode together. Another thing that I would do differently is get a larger tent. Now, if you guys remember back in a previous episode, I showed that I basically raised the lights to the literal max of the tent, basically leaving just about an inch from the top of the lights to the top of the tent. Because of that, I was able to get away with it. And on top of it all, I was actually growing indica plants, which also helped out in the situation because indicas tend to grow much shorter than do sativas. Luckily, I was able to train the plants, do a little bit of LST, and basically manage the amount of space that I had. But even with that being said, I would have preferred to have a larger tent just to give me that leeway, not have to move all the lights, re-zip tie them all, make sure that there's that enough distance. If I had the amount of space ready to begin with, all I had to do was basically pull the drawstring of the lights to move them up and down as I needed. I also would have removed about 4 to 6 inches of nodes from the bottom, and that's because a lot of the lower nodes that I left ended up becoming popcorn bud, which basically is not fully formed buds, and that's because the lower branches were basically shaded out by the higher branches. So removing maybe 4 to 6 inches of the branches from the base where the soil starts, removing all those nodes to basically use that wasted energy on those popcorn buds, move it on up to the higher buds to get overall larger yield. Now the last thing that I would have done differently is starting my seeds a little bit earlier. Thinking back, I would probably have wanted to start it in November. That way I would harvest around January to February, around there, and basically avoid those higher temperatures, because in my area in zone 9B, it tends to get hot around April to May, and because I'm growing in an uninsulated garage, the outdoor temperature does affect the temperatures of my grow tent. So being able to start those seeds earlier, I'd definitely be able to avoid those higher temps. So now some tips for new growers. One thing that I believe that would definitely help new growers out there is if they grow a tomato. Now why I say that is because you learn how to germinate a seed. You learn how to care for that seedling, and then you eventually learn how to grow that plant properly. Now you don't even need to grow it to maturity. It might die on you, and that's definitely something that new growers are gonna have to go through. I myself killed tons of plants. Killing a couple of tomatoes off when trying to learn to germinate and care for a plant is gonna save you way more money than you would planting 1 or 2 seeds that are gonna cost you around $20 and it ends up dying on you. I myself learned how to grow vegetables before I ever started to grow cannabis. And I used those same principles that I learned growing those vegetables into cannabis. That's why I highly recommend growing a tomato or any other vegetable, that is, just to get down the basics. So plant a tomato. Another tip I want to give, which pertains to seeds, is buying your seeds from a reputable source. I know there's a lot of sellers out there of seeds, but you definitely want to know what you're buying before you buy it. Now, you may find some seeds online from some random source and not going to be as consistent as, say, a reputable seed bank. And the last tip for new growers is to buy feminized seeds. If you're like me, have limited space, but you're taking that gamble and basically finding a male, and for a new grower, you don't want a male, you're not actually going to be breeding, and that's the main reason why you would keep a male cannabis plant alive. Stick with the feminized seed. You know, it's a guarantee that you're gonna get that female, not have to worry about chucking out a plant before it releases pollen and basically pollinates all your other females. So guys, that is gonna wrap it up. This is gonna be the last episode of season 1. It's been a long journey and I am glad you are all part of it. I hope that this video and any of my other videos reach any new growers out there, and I hope it helps. If you did enjoy this video or any of my other subsequent videos in this series, don't forget to throw up the thumbs up. And also, you can hit the on-screen icon right below me to subscribe so that you can see my next grow series, which is already in the works. And quick sneak peek is it's going to be an outdoor grow. So stay tuned for that. Hit the bell for the notifications to let you know once I post. And you can use any of the on-screen icons right beside me if you want to check out any more of my other videos. And as always, you won't get a harvest if you don't sow seeds.